Show! Welcome to Grumpy Vegan Grandad. Well, it has been brought to my attention about a guy called Tofu Tommy, never heard of him, and also Primal Edge Health. And I've also noticed that I'm in one of his videos about Regan Russell, calling us all out, saying that this truck driver was a murderer. But I didn't say he was a murderer, I said that it could be seen as murder, it could be murder. That's what I'm saying. The police have still got to charge or release this guy. Basically, Primal Edge is saying, well, I hope you're going to apologise if it comes out the other way. Well, the thing is, Primal Edge, or is it Tristan? Why does that always pop up when I think? The thing is about it, mate, is that the one thing you'll notice about me is if I'm proved wrong, right, I will own up to it. I've actually done a video today showing the blind spots on my wagon. And I'm going to use it somewhere in the future as a warning to people when they're working around these wagons. So, but to answer your question, would I apologise if this guy was totally innocent? Yeah, of course I would. Of course I would. But from the information that I've been sent, it can only be murder. From what witnesses, most of the witnesses have said, he drove into her, which is, it's murder no matter whether the police charge him or not. If that's the case, then it is, you know. So anyway, let's get to the point. So who is Primal Edge? Primal Edge is Primal Edge Health provides a meeting ground for people looking to transform their lives using the ketogenic and carnivore diet lifestyle. Learn how to use animal-based nutrition, the ketogenic and carnivore diets, whole, unrefined ancestral foods, regenerative agriculture, homesteading and holistic lifestyle approach for healthy vitality and optimal performance. We want to thrive and bring others along for the ride, build healthy bodies, homes, families, communities together, because we are far more than what we eat. We certainly are, my friend, we certainly are. Join the mailing list to get information on our group coaching program, Carnivore and Keto. Oof. Yeah, the carnivore diet. He's also got Facebook page here. Big slab of dead body there. So yeah, he seems to be though, he's like this Joey Carbstrong there. I mean, rather than just like pushing his own sort of diet and keto and all this stuff, he seems to be bashing vegans as well. Why would you bash vegans? Why don't you spend your energy on pushing what you're pushing? I don't sort of make videos slagging off the keto diet, even though I know it's absolutely dangerous as hell for healthy people to sort of take up. Anyway, so that's Primal Edge Health. So the reason for this reaction video is a guy called Tofu Tommy. Now, from what I gather about Tofu Tommy, is that he went vegan, but he also has eating disorder issues, and he talks a lot about his eating disorder. He's got over it once, and is helping people to sort of come out of it. He was also a big promoter of the vegan lifestyle, total animal abuse, anti-animal abuse. He was a big advocate for veganism, but he's turned back to meat because he says a nutritionist or a doctor or somebody has told him to. But we'll go into that after this reaction, because there's a lot of things in here.
But they know what's best for you, your health, your family.
I like it, man. Lay it on thick, dude. All right, we got a few super chats here. Let me read these super chats before we really get into the
Let's know.
to the plant-based meat of this. Actually putting out some response videos to the ex-vegans back in the day, and that was my first exposure to you. So, yeah, dude, how did you become Tofu Tommy? What's the genesis story there?
Yeah, well, there's an awful long story, obviously, going back. Full disclosure, I used to have an eating disorder in the past, which obviously started with the loss of my mum. So it was all based around grief. It was never based around food. I actually had a relapse round about the end of 2014, which was with the loss of my dad. He was actually suffered a massive stroke down his right side, and he passed away just within about 4 weeks because his heart stopped and things. So I obviously relapsed at that point. I was admitted to hospital.
Yeah.
And in the hospital, I actually met a vegan, and she actually got talking to me about a lot of different things about the ethics and things. And she always said that, why do you draw this arbitrary line with animals? She says, you say you love your dogs, but you'll gladly go out and you'll eat a steak. At that minute, it obviously hit me, because I used to work in a slaughterhouse. I was a slaughterhouse meat packer. So I suffered a lot of PTSD and things due to that reason. So I come out of hospital roughly about 3 months later, started to look into like YouTube and things, and the first thing I looked up was vegetarian, but it actually threw up channels like Durian Rider and things like that, and it was all vegan. So I decided I was going to try and go vegan. But over the next roughly 6 months, I started doing a lot of kind of looking into YouTube. I went to a lot of vegan festivals, and then I met the Save movement at this vegan festival, and they said to me, look, we do vigils and things. Would you like to come along to a vigil sometime? So I decided to do that. I went to my first vigil, and then on January 2016, which was my 36th birthday, I went vegan, and then overnight, and then within roughly about 3-4 months, I actually looked into starting the local chapter for Save Movement and Anonymous for the Voiceless in my area, and I became an organizer for both of them, and then started my kind of activism from then on.
So he's a great guy. He's a great guy. He looked at me. He suffers from PTSD, which combined with an eating disorder is a hell of a thing to go through. But the key thing is that he had an eating disorder. So he was on a fail to start with. Now, veganism can be used as a restrictive diet, because a lot of people, now his eating disorder, I've looked at pictures of him, and he was very, very skinny. He's a small guy anyway, he was very skinny. So I can only assume, and this is all assumptions, everything I say on this is just assumption. It must have been something like anorexia. It was definitely calorific restriction, definitely. So veganism, as we all know, is high volume, low calorie food. Usually, a lot of it. You know, you can have a kilo of sweet potatoes and still only be consuming 800 calories. You know, so it's ideal, because people with eating disorders don't want other people to know they've got an eating disorder. It's a very secretive thing. They don't like to let people know. They want people to think that they're okay. So a vegan diet is a very good way to is a very good way to hide a restrictive calorie diet. Very good way. Because I remember when I first went plant-based, and I was always hungry because I wasn't eating enough. You've got to get used to eating enough, because meat is very calorific. It's very, very calorific. For that little piece of meat, I'm eating 2-3 times that in plant food. So you've really got to up your game when you go on a plant-based diet, which is fair enough. Anyway, let's crack on, see what else.
Oh, wow, I mean, that was like a steep slope that you dropped into the veganism on, man. You just jumped right in on the deep end.
Yeah, absolutely. At that point, obviously, I was quite unwell at one point, but I would say for maybe about the next year, I was getting a lot better. I started putting on weight and things like that. And then roughly when I got to about the 2.5 year mark, things just went downhill massively. I started suffering a lot of weight loss, which was impacting my recovery at that point. I was getting things like constant migraines, mouth ulcers, and I had this real stabbing pain right under my left rib, which felt as if somebody had actually stabbed me. And I was suffering low calcium, which was quite funny. They didn't know how that was actually happening, but constant low calcium. I was constantly having blood in my stools, going to the toilet up to about 12 to 16 times a day. And I had this really bad memory loss. It was that bad that my wife would say something to me, and within like 2 minutes, I would forget what she said. And she says, "Do you not remember I told you that?" And I said, You never told me anything. But I had this really bad memory loss and brain fog. And it got to the point that what really pushed me over the edge was my wife started crying. She says, "Look, you're killing yourself here." And she says, "All because you love these animals." And she says, "You're listening to all these people that don't really care about you. They're only caring about the ideology. They're not really caring about you." And I still didn't do it. And that's what a lot of people say. They say you were never really vegan. But at the end of the day, the way I look at it, to be vegan, you've got to follow a plant-based diet. So if you can't follow a plant-based diet, you're not vegan. So obviously it comes into the fact that veganism's a philosophy. It's about the animals and things like that. And I've always said that. That's fair enough. But if you can't follow a plant-based diet, you're no vegan. And I was even slurring speech and things like that, which my wife actually thought I had a stroke, because the side of my face was actually drooping at one point. And that's how bad it got. And then my eating disorder nurse and my therapy team, my doctor, my dietitian, they all stepped in and they said, "Look, you were doing absolutely great." They says, "We've now give you an ultimatum that you actually start doing what we say, or you'll end up being in the hospital if you keep going the way you're going." And at that point, I walked away and I said, "Look, I'm going to do it, but I don't think this will work." And I believed it wouldn't, because I thought that everything that was all my fault. It was the eating disorder past, everything that everybody said online, which is absolutely nonsense. But I obviously went away, thought I was obviously just going to get worse and worse, and then didn't.
So it's listed a few symptoms, side effects of the vegan diet. But let's have a look. Food deprivation has a range of physical effects as the body struggles to cope with insufficient nutrients and calories. Anorexia sufferers can suffer some or all of the following: constipation, dizzy spells and faintness, abdominal pains, muscle weakness, poor circulation, dry yellow-coloured skin, early morning waking, bloating. People with anorexia often develop long, fine, downy hair on the face and body, disrupting menstrual cycles or no periods at all. Osteoporosis or soft bones is a disease which results in the density of the bones reducing. This leaves sufferers prone to painful fractures, particularly in the spine, hip, and persistent disabling pain and loss of height. People with eating disorders are at risk of developing osteoporosis because their bodies are deprived of vital nutrients bones need in order to grow and remain strong. Calcium is the most important nutrient for the bone. Now, in a little while, he's going to talk about his calcium deficiency. Now, I've got a calcium deficiency. Plenty of calcium in plant-based food. Heart problems. Anorexia has the highest mortality rate of all forms of mental illness, with rates of between 10 and 15%. A significant proportion of these deaths are due to heart failure. There's not enough body fat to protect the heart. Anemia, which weakens the blood, can develop, and there's commonly poor circulation. Anorexia and neurological brain problems. People with severe anorexia may suffer nerve damage that affects the brain and other parts of the body. This can lead to nerve-affected conditions, including the development of seizures, confused thinking, and extreme irritability and numbness, odd nerve sensations in the hands or feet. Brain scans can show that parts of the brain can undergo structural changes and abnormal activity during anorexic states. Some of these changes return to normal after weight gain, but there is evidence that some damage may be permanent. So he's talking about his memory loss, his short-term memory loss. He can't remember talking to people. They're all linked with anorexia, mate. There's millions of vegans who don't suffer any of these effects. He's got an eating disorder. This is what's causing his problems, not the plant-based diet.
Actually do anything to around about a month later. It was roughly about August 2019 I actually started adding in eggs, and it took me roughly about 4 or 5 months to actually add in things like fish. And it was people that obviously, Bobby's perspective, Drew Morg especially, he was reaching out to me constantly, giving me support and things like that. And obviously vegan friends as well. There was a lot of good vegan friends that I've got, and I want to say that there's a lot of bad people that's in the vegan community as well, but there's a lot of good people. And like I've always said, what works for one person doesn't work for another, and I'm happy for anybody to do what they feel is best. But to tell me that I should kill myself just to fulfill their ideology, I think was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, Bobby's perspective, eh? What a friend to have. So it seems like he's rejected veganism, and now all the anti-vegans want him for their cult, you know? It's absolutely crazy, because when people are at risk of dying from malnutrition, example, anorexics, medics, doctors are going to want to get as many calories into that person as possible, and they're not used to eating a lot of food. So of course they're going to go and say, take a few eggs. Of course they're going to say, try and get some fish down you, because there's loads of calories in a very small amount of food. So yes, this is what they tell to give to starving children. This is how they can put this sort of thing right, is high calorie dense food, which is normally animal products. But he didn't have to do that. If there'd been a vegan dietetic expert, nutritionist on there, they could have given him some high calorie plant-based foods to eat, legumes and potatoes and sweet potatoes and tofu, and there's lots of calorie dense foods out there, you know.
It's your journey really kind of mirrors the intro that we just watched, right? With Vegan Gains saying, "Oh, well, I wouldn't eat animals if I knew it was the only thing I could do to heal myself, and I was going to die. I wouldn't eat animals because I'm not selfish." And I remember seeing some of your videos about ex-veganism, or I'm sorry, people who were never really vegan. And here's a video I got pulled up here. It's from you, Vegan Gains Drama, and Charles Marlowe joins the ex-vegan bandwagon. I didn't really go through and search for too many more, but this one did pop up as like a recommended video in your thing. So it seems like this was February 2019. So this is about, what is this, 8 months before,
Yep.
6 or 8 months before you finally decided to eat animal foods. At this point, right, like early 2019, less than a year before you went never really vegan, ex-vegan, before you started eating animals again and feeling better. How were you dealing with this psychologically? Like, were you feeling a pull to leave this vegan thing? Were you feeling that you were sick, or was it only your wife telling you what she saw and giving you her opinion that really made you see it?
I felt it was absolutely sick, but the thing that really bothered me was because I felt it was really, really hard to speak out about things because I felt everybody was going to kind of shun me, like what happens quite a lot. So they've got this kind of cult mentality, which has happened quite a lot. The people that obviously thought were my friends were never really my friends in the first place, and they disowned me. There is quite a few friends that I've got that's
So when you put yourself out on a public forum, he said he started vigils. He started organising. He started organising AV chapters, and he jumped right into it. He organised all this. He started a YouTube channel. He put himself out there, right? If you're putting yourself out there, you're asking for people's trust in you as a person. You're asking people to subscribe to you. And he got a fair bit of subscription. I think it was over 5,000. And people trust him. When you put yourself out there, you're asking people to trust you. And then as soon as you flip and go the opposite way, of course you're going to get a lashback. No, I don't condone death threats or people saying he should die at all. This man had mental health issues, right? Major mental anorexia is a terrible, terrible disease. And all right, fair enough, he's blaming it on the veganism. But what he's doing now is a bit underhanded. Because why is he going on a big keto dude's channel? Is he going to go on a keto diet now? Because I'll tell you something, that will finish him if he does that. Why is this guy interested in him? This guy, this Primal Edge, is only interested in this guy because he was out there, he was promoting veganism, and now he's changed. And he wants to go, yeah, look, he got ill and he went back, and he knows, this Primal Edge guy knows it was anorexia, right? He knows it wasn't veganism, but in Bobby's perspective, they'll jump on it because he wants people to go on his keto diet. Man, crazy. So yeah, he shouldn't get trolled, but he's putting himself out there. If he's putting himself out there, he should expect it, because we all get trolled. It's part and parcel of putting yourself in the public eye, unfortunately.
that's still vegan that obviously have supported me through thick and thin, and which is quite surprising. But at that point, I just really, I didn't know what to believe. I believed it was my own fault. I didn't want to speak out about it because I had to put on this facade that everything was all about veganism, that I was healthy, that I was going to get through it. Just what a lot of everybody else that's obviously been an ex-vegan could probably relate to themselves.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many. I feel like most vegans spend a majority of their vegan journey in that state of like denial, right? And lashing out at the world around them, saying, "Oh, you were never really vegan," or "This person doesn't care enough. I'm a real vegan. I'll never be ex-vegan." It's like, why do you keep saying this? It's like a mantra, you know? I mean, it's and you get love bombed when you first get into it, and this is one of the tactics that cults use. When you first join, they love bomb you, right? You're in the middle of this, big envelope.
Oh, what are you doing there? What are you doing there? This vegan guy, right, who you wouldn't even associate yourself with, you wouldn't have even had him on your channel while he were vegan, right? All of a sudden, he's ex-vegan, and now you're love bombing him. Bobby's perspective, love bombing him. They're all love bombing him. Fuck me. Hypocrites. Absolute hypocrites. This is hilarious.
Of cosmic love and your new cult and this new false religion, and you feel so good, you feel accepted, You feel like you're surrounded by, you know, your true friends, your real family, right? And they even talk about, you know, cutting off your family, which I always put that in some of these.
I've never been told to cut my family off. People out there come up with crazy things. You don't listen to them. That's never been a thing. No one's ever said, oh, you've got a leather settee there. You must burn it on a cross. And if they have, I'll just tell them to fuck off. I'm keeping it. It's staying there till it wears out, and then I'm going to get a vegan one. That's the way it is. I'm not going to divorce my wife and leave my family just because they're not vegan. Yeah, there's lots of nutters out there, but you don't listen to them. You don't listen to them.
Edits as well, like the edit we watched in the beginning with Earthling Ed saying, oh, I feel so sorry if you have to be around your families. We just know it's so difficult to have to be around your non-vegan families and all these
Primal, that accent is shite, man.
Human non-vegans, you know, and it's crazy. But then as soon as you even express doubt about what's going on, it seems like the cult now is so worried, and they're so preemptively jumping on people that, you know, John Venus, before he even went ex-vegan, he just ate a few eggs and expressed a little bit of doubt, and he was like immediately excommunicated. You know, people, oh, we're going to distance ourselves from this guy. He's a fake vegan. I mean, it's so freaking culty.
It's culty. It's culty. What about the keto cult? What about the carnivore cult? If you're going to call cults, what's a cult? We're not brainwashing people. We're not telling people lies like you are, Primal, about your keto diet. How the keto diet is so healthy when in fact it's used to treat people with cancer and epilepsy, and that's all. You're asking people to eat loads and loads of animal products and not eat any plants when humans need fibre. You're telling them, you know, to eat loads of cholesterol when you know it causes... You're the one who's creating a cult, mate. You're the one who's creating a death cult.
That's the thing. A lot of people don't even understand. There's a lot of people in the background that's actually not vegan at the moment. They're still putting out vegan content, and they're even putting things on Instagram that's obviously vegan. That they're reaching out to me and they're saying that they've been introducing vegan products for maybe about 4 or 5 months. There's actually a girl, I don't want to mention any names, but she's actually suffering with cancer at the moment, and she's still putting out vegan things, and she's reached out to me and she said that I've probably saved her life because she knew that what happened with me, that she had to add in animal products because her doctor had been telling her for months, and she's too scared to speak out about it because people will shun her, and she's got stage 3 cancer. It's shocking.
It's did you feel a desire to hide the health issues that you were having that you thought may have been coming and stemming from veganism while you were putting out this, you know, pro-vegan content?
Yeah, obviously I really did, but it was really, really hard because I felt like if I put that out there, it was going to turn everybody away, and everybody would say it was about me, and it was never really about the animals, which happened anyway. Like I say,
No. You hid it because you had anorexia. You hid it because you had an eating disorder, and you don't want people to know about that because that is part and parcel of having an eating disorder. That's why you didn't want to say anything. Now you've gone back to this eating eggs and fish and eating high volume calorific foods to get yourself back to a healthy weight again. Now you feel brave enough to say yeah and blaming it on veganism. Why would you do that? Because it wasn't. What is the magic ingredient in meat that he needed to recover? What was his diet like? And he says his diet was perfect. He said that people watched What I Eat in a Day videos and said, yeah, he reckons he was having 3,000 calories a day. Yeah, bullshit. A guy his size having 3,000 calories a day would be like that. He'd be waddling around. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. He wasn't. He was restricting his calories, full stop. And now he wants to jump on something else. He says later that he's a trainer and all this, and he's coming out and he's come out on, and he's getting on people's channels and everything. He's after making a bit of dough now on this ex-vegan journey. He's seen all the John Venus stuff, obviously, because he's going on about it. He's nodding when he mentions it. The John Venus stuff. Oh, John Venus has gone ex-vegan. Now look, he's got loads of new followers, and they all were like supporting him, and it's great, and they'll want his programs and all this shit. That's what he's after.
I'd have probably been honest for the start. I would have saved myself probably another year in getting my health back, because when I started to introduce animal products within roughly 3 months, the health increase was right away.
It's staggering looking at the difference. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull up an image, and yeah, if you want to elaborate a little bit on that limbo state, right? You mentioned you feel like you lost a year, so it sounds like you experienced about a year of doubt that you kind of covered up and kind of psychologically projected this, cocksureness about, oh, this is working, I'm good, veganism's cool, there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing wrong with me. And yeah, could you elaborate a little bit on what that was like, feeling doubt, but then pushing out into the world that image that you're not doubting it at all?
It was a feeling I've been lost, because what I actually done was a step back from activism roughly about a few months before that. And I think people then, probably in the activism scene, kind of guessed there was something not right. And then I started to obviously put out information on Facebook saying how much I was suffering, and I thought I just didn't believe in it anymore. And people were kind of saying, well, oh, it's okay, go and do what you want, but you'll be back to veganism in no time. And I did believe that myself. I thought that probably what would happen was I wouldn't get any better. I would straight be back to veganism, or if I did get better, I would be straight back being vegan right away. But what actually...
You knew you'd made a decision, mate. I mean, I do sympathise with Tommy. I do sympathise with him. He was in a shitty place. He had an eating disorder. Health professionals were telling him that he must eat meat. I think he said he had a heart attack and all sorts. He felt like he'd had a stroke. So yeah, he probably got scared. And he's gone back to eating animal products. But for him to say that it was veganism that caused it, he knows perfectly well it wasn't. He knows perfectly well he could have got those calories elsewhere. He knows that it was calorie deficit that was causing his problems. Full stop.
actually happened was roughly about January this year, I actually started to go vegan maybe for about 3-4 weeks to see just if that would make any difference. The minute I add it in the animal products, all the health issues come straight back right away, which told me there and then that definitely what it was. But I had to do it for my own self-conscience to know that I wasn't doing something and obviously going against my morals, which a lot of people said that I did do. But my morals have always been based on Christianity and basing my worldview on a creator, and that's what it's always been about.
All right, so here I've got a video pulled up of when you were actually vegan, just to get an idea of kind of how you looked and felt. I mean, you look significantly different. The skin tone completely different. Well, you have more hair now. It seems like you were losing a patch of hair.
Look at that picture. Right, look at his skin colour. Yeah? Look at his hair. Wispy. Let's have another look at this. Dry, yellow coloured skin. Dry, yellow coloured skin. Let's have a look at another one. People with anorexia often develop long, fine, downy hair on face and body, not disruptive menstrual cycles. So, that is calorie restriction. That is not, you're telling me eating fruits, vegetables, beans, leafy greens, starchy potatoes, sweet potato, you're telling me rice, pasta, that does that to you? Nah, mate. Nah.
Back then.
I was, yeah. I was, see, when I was getting in the shower, I was getting clumpy bits falling out all the time.
Yeah. Wow. And now you look you look like your hairline looks straight. Like I don't see any clumps missing like this one, man.
No,
Your
even the
eyes.
dental issues as well. The dental issues, I had constant mouth ulcers all the time. It was absolutely horrendous.
You ever go back and look at some of like
And I think that was basically down to the kind of EPA and DHA, which is obviously critical for brain health. And I think that most likely my conversion of the ELA was very, very low as well. And probably vitamin B6 and zinc as well. I think I was probably deficient in them.
dude, I mean just
Yeah, you probably were deficient in a lot of vitamins and minerals, yeah. Because that's what happens when you're on a restricted diet, when you don't eat food. Or you eat very little food. I'm not going to do any more on this. Because basically he just goes on to talk about slagging off AV and... I mean, one of the things, let's just see if we can find it.
And so basically what used to happen was you would obviously ask questions and get them to kind of come to the conclusion, but then they started to change it. And in my view, it got very deceptive because say a mother come up with her baby or her young child or whatever, they would start relating things to cows being like babies, and it was all about emotive feelings and things like that. to
yeah,
kind of lure
emotional
people in.
manipulation techniques and using language and changing the meaning of words, right? Look at that's a baby cow. They don't call it a calf. They say that's
Yeah.
A calf is a baby cow. It's nothing to do with manipulation. It's to do with being honest with people, letting people see. It's this use of language. This use of language of calling things that they're not. To keep that distance, to keep the dissonance away from what things really are. This is why. So when vegans start telling the truth and saying words for what they actually are, slavery, rape, murder, people need to hear the truth, not bullshit. Not bullshit.
That's a person. That's a person too, just like you.
I mean, yeah, animals obviously are individual and they have feelings and everything like that, but I think they kind of try to anthropomorphize them quite a lot as well to kind of...
Individual, isn't that a funny word? It's like, oh, this is an individual knife. Here's an individual flashlight. What is this individual? It's like they're trying to get you to personify it, like you said, anthropomorphize constantly.
You get about 5 or 6 dogs in here, in this room around me. Would they all be the same? Or would they be individuals? Would they react differently to different things? Would one jump up and catch the ball? Of course they're all individuals. Of course they are. And they're all personalities. Anti-vegan.
And obviously as well, the thing that really got me was one day I remember this girl giving out dietary information, and what they weren't really supposed to do when you're actually doing a cube of truth anyway, but this little guy, he had Down syndrome and he actually had type 1 diabetes, and he came up to the cube and she showed him this little picture of a baby goat, and he started like crying and everything, and she says, do you know how you can cure this and everything? You can go vegan. And he says, but I'm type 1 diabetic. And she says, no, you can cure that through being vegan. And she was giving him all this information. And I was ready to step in, but I wasn't allowed to at that point. And it just got me.
Why aren't you allowed to speak? You're not allowed to speak?
No, if somebody's having a conversation, you're not allowed to step in. That's kind of the way it's supposed to go, unless they ask you to step in for obviously help if they don't know an answer to a question and things like that.
What other rules do they have? So only one person's allowed to talk?
Well, I think that's just really common courtesy, isn't it? If you're having a conversation with somebody, you don't want two people coming at you, having a conversation with you, because you only have a very short time with people on the streets. So you want to get as much useful information to them as possible and get them to look at veganism, get them to look at what the farming practices do to animals and look at everything how it is. Having two people, you can't take that information in. So yeah, it makes sense. And it's polite just to have one person talking to a person. It's not that hard to understand.
Yeah, and really what they do is they do a thing called shadowing. Like, say Joey Cabstrong comes to a Cube of Truth, you'll stand behind Joey while he's doing a conversation.
Oh, I've had enough of that already. So, you get the tone of the video. The poor lad had an eating disorder. It's looking more and more like anorexia from what I can see of him. All the symptoms scream anorexia. I mean, he can say it was the vegan diet all day long. He can say it was because he was eating a plant-based diet all the time he wants. But nobody's going to believe that bullshit. Come on, Tommy. You hid it. You wanted to hide it, and now you're seeing a little revenue stream. You've even said you didn't have a lot of money, and because when people pulled him about when he was doing what I eat in a day and putting his food on display on Instagram and on YouTube, people were saying, I bet you only ate a bit of that and threw the rest of it away. And he was saying, well, I don't have the money to throw food away. So you're not rolling in money at the moment. So this little revenue stream that this ex-vegan sort of explosion that's happening with a few big YouTubers going ex-vegan and all the attention it gets them, you've spotted that and thought, I'm going to get myself some of that. That's what I think's happening, Tommy. But you're certainly burning all your bridges. Why are you hitting down on AV and all the vigils? Why are you being so down on them and trying to expose flaws in that? I thought you were all about the animals. I thought you cared about the animals. I thought your health was number one. You looked after number one. All right, hands up. Yeah, you've looked after your own health. Yeah, I get that. But why do you feel a need to drag down all the animal save movements when you just said, even though I'm eating carnivore food, I'm eating meat, I'm eating animal products again for my health, for me, I still care about the animals. Yet you're trying to diss all the projects that are there to try and help save the animals and get people to do this. Even if it was just the vegan diet that made you ill, even if you were that one special person who needs this mystery ingredient that's in meat to save your life, even if it was the vegan diet, why would you slag off movements that are there to design to help people who could probably thrive on a vegan diet to come over to this side of it and thrive? Why would you try and do that? I don't get it. But yeah, I think that's about it. That's all I want to say on the subject. I watched it today. I watched the whole thing. It comes up with quite a lot of stuff. But come on, Tommy. Where's your integrity? Save the animals, save the planet, save yourself. Go vegan.